So, you've seen the animation, and yeah, it's quite easy actually. So let's just start it. You will learn how to create a shadeless material. Also the animation, of course. We have some constraints that we're gonna work with, object constraints. Yeah, it's gonna be all in Eevee, so the rendering will also be very quick. So let's delete this, and we're gonna create a UV sphere. In the UV sphere, we're going to go into wireframe and then just delete this top part. Awesome. We're gonna make this a little bit thicker. So we are going to our modifiers, and we're gonna use our solidify modifier. You can change this thickness a little bit. Make sure you apply the scale with Ctrl A before, especially if you scale this up or down. We didn't do it, but yeah. Let's go and add a bevel. With this bevel, I'm gonna change this offset a little bit here, and then put in a subdivision surface. So with this bevel, the problem is that also these corners here, like these edges, are getting beveled. We do not want that, so I like to put my bevel at angle, and now we don't have that problem anymore. You can put this viewport shading in the subdivision a little bit up and give it a shade smooth. So yeah, that is it. We're gonna duplicate this and scale it down. Let's do it like 1, 2, 3 times. You can also do 4, but doesn't matter. And what we want to do with these, we want to rotate them, right? So what I personally also like to do is, if you go to object properties, I just want to lock the location and the scale of all of these half spheres, let's say. So lock them, and this way you cannot move or scale them at all, and only the rotation will work. Like, I'm trying to move them now, but it just doesn't work. Awesome. So I want to make it work that if I rotate this, that the other ones are kinda joining the rotation, but rotating at a different axis. So what I want to do is I want to go to object constraints. Here I'm gonna select the second one, so not the first one. The first one we're gonna animate, and the second one is gonna follow this animation. So I'm gonna select the second one here and copy rotation, and then I'm copying this rotation. But if you now rotate it, you can see it just really follows it because we copied that rotation. But you can, let's say, invert the y-axis, and I would also do the mix at after original. So now you can see that if you rotate it, it just moves at a different axis, right? We're gonna do the same here, and you can choose. You can do copy rotation on the first one or the second one. It will act differently, but yeah, I'm just doing the second one right now. So replace at after original, and you can choose an axis. So let's do axis X, and let's check it out if it looks cool. Yeah, they move all different, so that will create an awesome effect. Same here, copy rotation, and here you can select again whatever you want, and then after original, and let's do the another time the y-axis. So here we can see that everything moves at a different pace, and that will create this very, very cool effect. Awesome. So now we want text in the middle, right? So if we just click on Shift A to add something, we can add text here. And this is the text that we have. So I want to add a 3, and then I'm just gonna duplicate this. 2, duplicate it again. With top, by the way, you can access it again. So if you click on top, you can write something different. And 1. Now I'm gonna select them all and just move them to the middle, somewhere here. Let's scale it up so we can actually see this text. And then this will be, let's look at the middle. Somewhere right here will be the middle. So this is the text that we have. This is the rotation, and then we want a nice plane underneath, which is just gonna be low here, and our camera, which you can access at 0. Go into the view, lock camera to view, and I'm gonna choose the top view here. And now that I have the top view, I'm gonna turn this off, lock camera to view, go to item, select my camera, and put this all to 0, except the z-axis, and also this here in the rotation, everything at 0. So now it's nice in the middle. We can create our materials now. So what I like to do, I like to move this timeline a little bit up and just grab a shader editor down here. We're gonna select this backplane here, and now we need to create a shadeless material. So now if I just create a material, you will see that we can see shadows and all that stuff. We don't want that. So how do we create it shadeless? Well, it's actually not that hard. What we're gonna do is every material that we're gonna make is just gonna be only an emission. So emission shader, emission goes into here, and the strength should stay at 1. But it still doesn't really look like the color that it has here. So what you want to do next, go into your render properties, color management, and put it instead of filmic to standard. And now we have the real color corresponding with the viewport, right? So what we want to do is just rename this. So this is going to be white. Then select one of these outer ones, and I'm going to select the white, duplicate it, and let's make this purple. So I found this cool website with a lot of color palettes, and I really liked this palette here. So I selected it, and what you can do is you can just select this hex code here, and it automatically copies. And what you can do then is you can go into your emission, color, hex, and then you just have to click on Ctrl V, and you have this color, right? So that is how I copied those colors from colorhunt.co. So this is going to be purple. Let's select the next one, and this is going to be we're gonna select purple, click on duplicate, and this is going to be blue. Now just copy that code from the website, or you just make your own color and put it in there. Then go to blue, duplicate it, orange, orange, duplicate, and this is going to be yellow. So now we also need a color for these numbers inside. So my palette kinda ends at 4. So what I just did is I selected one of these colors. So let's select blue, duplicate it. I'm gonna make it green. And then here in your HSV, you can just change the hue. So the saturation will stay the same, but with the hue you can change the color, let's say. So let's say we do this one green. That's totally fine. So now make sure you make all of these numbers green, and it's time for us to animate. This is a timer, so what we really want to do is every second we want to have this this ball open, let's say. So what you need to keep in mind then is if you go to your output properties, you can see the frame rate, and the frame rate is 24 frames per second. So every second we have 24 of these frames. So that is kind of everything you need to know. And let's put the start at 0. So we start at 0. So in 24 frames we will change from 3 to 2, right? 3, 2, and then 1. So that's kind of it. So what we want to do is we're gonna start with our 3, and the other ones like the 2 and the 1 we do not want to see, right? So what I want to do is I want to select all of these, go to my end frame, which let's just put it at 250, it doesn't matter, and insert the location. So now we want to hide the 2 and the 1. I'm just gonna add another keyframe, doesn't really matter where you're gonna do it, we can move them later on, and move this down, click on E and a location. The only reason why we're doing this right now is just so we have these 2 keyframes. They're not on their right place yet, but we can move them around, as you can see. So we want to start animating these spheres here. And the way that we do it, first we want to have it open. So at frame 0, we should already start and create a insert keyframe at rotation. Then at frame 12, we want it to be all the way closed. So I'm gonna do rotate X 180 and then click on I and then rotation. So now it goes from open to closed at 12, and then at 24 we want to have it open again, right? Because that is 1 second. Rotate X 180, E, rotation. So now we can see that it closes and opens in exactly 1 second. One thing that we can see though is that in this second, the rotation is kind of very simple. It just opens and rotates. There's no like this rotation not going on. So what I want to do at frame 12, I want to select this outer sphere and rotate the z-axis a little bit. You can see what I'm doing here, and then E rotation. So what happens now, because we rotated the z-axis, we have way more stuff happening, which looks way more pleasing to our eyes. So this needs to happen one more time, right? So now it should be the 2 and then go to 1. So what I want to do is at frame 36, we want to rotate this again. Rotate X 180, E rotation. Then at frame 48, it should be open again. So rotate X 180, E rotation. This is kind of a boring rotation, so I'm gonna rotate the z-axis a little bit more. E rotation, and let's look what it does. We have some cool rotations going on. Awesome. So now the numbers are of course not really where we want them to be. So what we want to have is at frame 12 the 3 should disappear and the 2 should go to that place. So the 3 here is in a good place. So E location, and then 1 frame further it should just be down here, E location. We can kind of delete this last frame here, we don't need it. And this 2 should now go up here, right? So at frame 12 we put our first keyframe, and at frame 13 we put our last keyframe. So what happens here, the 2 jumps up there, and that's all we need. And then as last we have our 1. So that will happen at the second close, which is at frame 36. So now the 2 should disappear again. So we're gonna create a keyframe location at frame 36. 37, it should be down here. E location, and our 1 is actually going to move up. So at frame 36 we put our first 1, and then our second one is going to be at frame 37. So our whole animation kind of stops at frame 48. I'm gonna render till frame 50 just so our 1 stays a little bit longer. I think that looks cool. So now we have 3, 2, 1. One other thing is, if you want to render everything in seconds, you can also look here, show seconds. So now at 1 second we change from 3 to 1, and at 2 seconds we change from 2 to 1, right? So that's also what you can do. It's just here in the view you can show seconds. Okay, so now you only have to render it. So if you have your camera in the right position, you go here, create a nice folder. I already created a folder named Animation, and you just select that and then accept it. Then all your images are gonna end up in that folder. So if you guys like this, please like, subscribe, it really helps me out. And yeah, that's it. So see you guys in the next one.